Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Amir Netz. I'm the city. What?
I said they might be ready to win.
I don't care. Question. If we have time at the end, we'll do more questions. I can say also later. Don't worry about it. I'm the CTO of Power BI. I've been at Microsoft for almost 23 years now. From the basically, Microsoft acquired a small company in 1996, and I was one of the founders, and that's how Microsoft got into the BI space. We built all-up services, it became analysis services, and now it's all becoming Power BI. So that's me. I have joined here with this distinguished gentleman, Will Thompson. Will,
Hello. Hi, everybody. My name is Will Thompson. I'm one of the program managers on the Power BI desktop team. You might recognize my T-shirt from the training videos that I've done many of. I've been on the team for about 6 years now, since I moved over from the UK.
And the one of only two guys in the cube.
Patrick LeBlanc, I'm on the Power BI Cat team. I've only been on the team since like November, so nice to meet you guys.
Very good.
And the internet.
Okay. So let's see. So if you haven't been sleeping under a rock, we're going to talk about Power BI. This is kind of how it looks like, super cool stuff. One thing that is really interesting about Power BI is that typically one of the first 3 slides I've been doing in virtually every presentation in the last 5 years have been this slide. We're talking about the data culture. That's the vision that have been empowering us and directing us for all these years and hasn't changed. It's one of those things that it's one of the things that is a little bit like Bill Gates' old desktop on every, or PC on every desktop. It took like 30 years for that statement to change. This is one of the things that I think will take us a very long time. So I think this will be another 10 years. We always talk about our desire to drive to a data culture. And what is a data culture? It means that every employee gets access to the data that they need, the tools that they need in order to drive better decisions. It's a world where facts replace opinions. It's a world that it's what you know rather than who you know. It's a world where everybody is data literate. And it's more than just a vision about the product. It's a vision about a culture change. And that's kind of what empowers us, and that's why we kind of built a product that is all about that. It's about how do we really drive incredibly broad adoption of data and analytics and data literacy. And for this, we kind of have a formula that we've been following for the past 5 years. It's the same formula. This slide is also kind of slide I've been using for quite a few years. What we've done is we said, first of all, we're going to build a single global cloud service. Then all the data is going to be together, not spread across different servers, not spread across different domains. One place, www.powerbi.com, you find everything. Single pane of glass to manage everything. No shadow IT, nothing. Everything is under complete governance. And then we're going to give you a frictionless way to adopt the service. We call it the 5x5 principle. 5 seconds to sign up, 5 minutes to wow. We move to make everything feel like Office, so people just come in and they just know what to do. You don't have to go to classes, although please go to classes, but you don't have to. Power BI is a fairly young product, but it's actually built upon decades of IP that we built at Microsoft. So I've been at Microsoft 23 years. We've been building analysis services, reporting services, tons of AI innovation. All of that got built into Power BI. So even though it's a younger product than some of our competitors, it have much deeper IP than virtually everybody else in the market right now. Very, very rapid pace of innovation. We've been releasing the service every week, the desktop tool every month, and that's really the last point. Is we don't like to talk about it in technical presentations, but we really aimed to create an economic disruption. We came to a market which was a market of very high-priced products. We did twice. We did in the all-up world and the all-up servers world when we released analysis services was just a fraction of all the market. We do it again with Power BI. We released it with a price point of $10 per user per month, and then which was a small fraction of the typical price in the market. And then we went even further when we released Power BI Premium. And Power BI Premium is really designed for larger organizations deploying. But when those organizations are deploying, and you do the math of how much a server costs, a node costs you per month versus how many users you put on it, and you find out that cost per user is about $3.50 per user per month. And that's including everything, the hardware, the software, the management, the real estate, the electricity. It's $3.5 per user per month, $40 per year, which is essentially an order of magnitude lower than anybody else in the market. And you know what? When you build a product that is very good, easy to adopt, very rapidly innovate, and at a disruptive price point, what you get is massive growth. And we have been experiencing the 5th year in a row of triple-digit growth in the product. This is just going. What you see here is the monthly active users of Power BI. All these dips that you see are the Christmas. Yes, these are Christmas. So you can see, it's actually not too bad. It's not too bad. When people are in the Caribbean on the beach with a glass and umbrella, they're still checking their numbers. I can tell you that. So it's pretty amazing. You guys have been incredible. We have one of the most vocal and active community at Microsoft. Our blog is the #1 blog that is read across all of the Azure properties at Microsoft. We have over 1 million members, active members, not only users, active members, people who are on the forum, posting questions, answering questions, creating blog posts, and so forth. We have over 1 million of those. And one of the things that you've been doing, you've been very vocal about what you want in the product. And sometimes we say no. I know, sometimes we say no. We're trying. We're really trying. But I'll say we have parameters. But we have been here. You've been voting on so many ideas. We took your votes. We are releasing about so I think there were about 600,000 votes and last year we released 200 features that will cover 250,000 of those votes. So we are looking at the top votes. Absolutely, this is something that drives us, something that we are very proud of. But also we know that. You guys are watching us, and we don't, and it's okay. Complain, It's okay. It's okay to be upset with us when you don't deliver. It's pretty incredible. This is kind of how it looks like. This is 6 months. This is 12 months ago to 6 months ago. The list of features that we deliver. This is another one of those. It's just constantly. We cannot cover all the features that we do every time. It's too much. One thing I say is that the other thing that we've been very, very grateful for is the kind of adoption that we've been seeing. And we'll talk more about it later. But every vendor will come and show you the wall of logos of who's using the product. We have our own wall of logo, but this is really a very partial one. Because if you just look at the Fortune 500, 97% of them are today using Power BI. It's pretty incredible. And, we've been having a stroke of luck with analysts as well, so kind of Gartner's loves us. You can see it's hard, small fonts, but we are the ones there on the top right. Forrester, same thing, small fonts. We are the one on the top right, so it's going well. Let's talk about, so how do we drive to a data culture, and how do we design a product for a data culture? So I'm going to introduce a framework which we're going to talk about how to think about the product. The product has such a massive surface today. So I'm going to introduce this 3 concentric circles framework, and it will help us kind of remember where we are on the map. So at the heart of the product, we're going to talk about amazing experiences. This is the #1 thing for us. If users don't love the product, nothing else matters. So we'll talk more about what we're going to do about that. We wrap those amazing experiences that bring the users in with a bunch of IT capabilities that the people who are, how many of you are in IT function, consultant function, and so forth? Virtually everybody. So for you guys, right? So for you guys, the things that users don't care about, like security and compliance and scale and lifecycle management, all this stuff they don't care about, but that's so important. This is the thing that makes the ability to deploy those experiences at scale to tens of thousands of users and hundreds of thousands of users. You have to have this stuff that you can sleep well at night, that you know that it's not going to break. And then this is kind of what we've been working on. The first 2 years, we've been working on the inner circle. Then we moved on to work on this, building this wrapper of enterprise capability, and that's what's really been most of the investment we made over the last 2 years were around this outer circle. And what we're going now is the next circle. The next circle is really interesting. It's the one that talks about how BI is weaved into the rest of the organization. how does it play with the rest of the data stack? How does it play with Office? How does it play with the Power Platform? What does it mean? How do we create trust around BI? This is really, I think, going to be the most differentiated circle of all, and we'll talk about it today, later. But let's start with these amazing experiences. And this is really, as I said, this is the heart of the product. If we cannot make users excited, come in regularly, day after day after day, there is not going to be a data culture. First, BI is voluntary. It's not something that somebody can force you to use. People come in and they can elect to use or not to use. Our job is to win their heart, to get their passion. And so we've been investing a lot in creating this class of experiences. So we're going to start with experiences for consumers, and Will's going to give us a demo. Okay, so Will, how about that? You do that demo? Yeah, okay.
Okay. So as Amir said, this is the place where the end users, the people who are consuming all of that BI insights, are going to land. The Power BI homepage is one place, a single pane of glass for everybody who can collect all of that BI reporting information into one place. Whether it's, you'll see that as an administrator here, I can brand this to make it a really personalized experience just for my organization. So you can see, for me in the Microsoft organization, I have the Microsoft branding associated with this. We have these wonderful splash screens that can look, make the experience just look and feel really inviting and a nice place to hang out when you go in and doing your reporting. I see things like favorites and recently used items as well. So these tiles, these are actually things that have been collated from the reports and dashboards that I use on a regular basis and pulled together. But I can see also things like I've favorited, all of the different applications that I'm using regularly. I'll even get down the bottom other content that's been shared with me, or recommendations of other apps, Power BI apps that people have published inside my organization that I might be interested in, either because I'm in the same groups as them, or maybe I'm using similar reports and apps as they are. And for brand new users who are just getting started, we provide content to help them understand what they can do and onboard to using Power BI. One of the most important things that we're doing with Power BI here to make these consumption experiences great is around what we call Power BI apps. I've got one already loaded here. And these apps are ways of collating multiple reports or multiple sets of content into one place that, again, can be branded. So we can have corporate look and feel, nice colors. I'm going to make no judgment about the color schemes of choosing.
That's terrible colors.
But we like our corporate logos. And then you'll see on the left-hand side, as I browse through all these different pages or different bits of content, it's all part of the same experience. So I've got some Power BI reports, so I can drill in and do my analytic type reporting. But I've also got things like briefing documents. So I've got content that comes from Office, so maybe a Word document. We're both having network problems. It's really slow, so everybody get off your phones. Okay, so I can have Word documents that maybe help me understand how to use this app embedded in here. PowerPoint. I'll give that a second or two to load. So PowerPoint can be embedded in here, and we all know that PowerPoint's one of the most commonly used way of communicating insights and things that people have found back out to their organization. So it makes sense to bring that content in here too. Even videos. So if you've got training information or training content that you want to surface here inside these applications, you can do that too. People don't have to leave the Power BI app that was published to go and find information somewhere else and learn how to use it. They do it right inside here. And whether it's Power BI analytic reports or even paginated reports, we all get that in that same experience. Really simple, really easy to use, one place for those users who are consuming their content through Power BI.
Okay, we're done? Okay, good. The other place, so simple, fast, one click away, highly branded experiences for the consumers. And we're constantly, one thing that we do all the time is and I'm sure all of you have encountered that dialogue that tells us, how would you recommend Power BI to a peer or colleague, right? You all got that dialogue. And actually, that is the number one metric we measure ourselves is, what is the Net Promoter Score, we call it. It is and that's how we know we're doing well, we're doing better. And then you have a place to put comments. We actually read all these comments. Absolutely read all these comments. Actually, we read all the bad comments. Only when we read all the bad scores and we read the comments. At the end, we spend 5 minutes to just get our spirit up a little bit. We read some good comments because it's very depressing to read the bad comments. But we read them, and it really drives the decision of how we can make the product even better and better and better. And we know we have some more work to do, but it's absolutely, we can see the trends are really good, really, really good. The other area where there's so much passion going on, this is really the community is so much involved in that, is what we do in the Power BI desktop. And here there are two main threads of innovation that we're going after. One is to make the Power BI desktop the most familiar BI tool you can imagine, even if you've never used it before. And we call it the PowerPoint for data effort. This is about if you just downloaded Power BI desktop and you never saw a video, never read a blog, you never opened the documentation. Nobody opens the documentation, we know that. So our job is to make you feel at home immediately. And for this, we have been shamelessly copying everything we can from Office, and we'll continue to copy more from Office. And you'll find there's experiences everywhere. So you'll find that you go in and you start moving the visuals on the screen, and you get these red guidelines that help you to do the alignment. It's just like in PowerPoint. And when you want to group a bunch of visuals together, all you have to do is just go, select those visuals, and press group, and now they're a group, and now you can go and resize them together and move them together and even do the internal resizing, all this cool stuff that is exactly like in PowerPoint. And we're just saying, hey, we know you know how to use PowerPoint, we're just trying to make it exactly like that so you feel at home. And then it comes to things like the theming. That you go in and you get this gallery that looks exactly like the gallery in PowerPoint, and then you hover over and you get this instant preview. And formatting is exactly the same. Actually, the ribbon itself is the same ribbon. We have developers that work with Office to build a single ribbon for all of us. So when you want to change the fonts, the size, and the type, it's just the same way as you do in every other Office app. And then not just PowerPoint, because we know that virtually everyone who uses Power BI, we know that. Telemetry. We know that 97 of them also use Excel at the same time. So we copy from Excel. So if you want to do conditional formatting, it's one click away and you open the dialog, it's Excel dialog. Pixel perfect copy, And we're not going to get sued for it, we know that. So So just make everybody feel at home. Everybody knows how to use the product from day one. And that's really, if you read the comments on the reviews, ease of use, and if you're an Office user, just Power BI just feels natural fit. That's exactly what we want to hear. So that's one thing, and we'll continue. We'll see us copying more and more of those, and the ribbon will continue to become more robust in terms of the features. More formatting capabilities will move to the ribbon. You'll see that going on. It's an ongoing effort, but you know where we're going with this. The other area where we are spending a lot of time innovating is in getting you much deeper insight. And this is the area of augmented analytics. So augmented analytics is really about how do we bring AI capabilities to life with users. Now, we are lucky. We are working for Microsoft. And I don't know how many of you know, but Microsoft have 5,000 people working on AI capabilities. So we have researchers, engineers, architects that are spending, that's their day job, just advancing AI. AI is a massive, massive moonshot bet for Microsoft. And in fact, Microsoft is absolutely a world leader when it comes to AI and machine learning. If you just look at the numbers here, for example, around the development we've done around vision and speech and language, we surpass human capabilities. That is, the technology you have at Microsoft today, if you want to do transcription, real-time transcription, if somebody wants to transcribe what I'm saying right now, take the Microsoft technology, will beat any human transcriber on the planet. It's really pretty amazing. So we have all this technology, and we, the small Power BI team, can just pick the best technologies and embed them into the product. And then the question for us was, how do you do it the best way? And I can tell you, I've been working on this problem for a couple of decades, all the way from analysis services of SQL 7 or SQL 2000. And how do you bring data mining, machine learning, AI to users? And we actually stumbled on the right formula. We figured out that instead of trying to teach the users how to become data scientists and statisticians, if we can just hide all this richness of AI in visuals that they know how to interact with, they're going to start using them, and they're going to enjoy them, and the AI needs to be hidden inside these visual experiences. So we shipped the key influencers, And just in the last couple of weeks, we shipped the Q&A 2.0, which I can tell you, we're going to see it in a moment, but I can tell you, the Q&A Visual 2.0, overnight, we tripled the number of users that were using the natural language querying capabilities of Power BI. The composition tree, that was the #1 ask people have on the user voice. Shipping next week. We're going to see a demo today. And then the cognitive services, all this vision and speech and language understanding, now shipping in the desktop. So, Patrick? Yep. Patrick is going to show us a demo. Go ahead, Patrick.
Can you guys hear me? Nope. No. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about, and I just asked Will, I said, I have to say this, right? I have to say this, is the new ribbon in the desktop, right? So you can see right now, I know it's not AI, Amir, but I just had to mention this. It's phenomenal, it's great. More Office, we're just stealing everything from Office. But with the new Kpi Visual, so if you look in the visualization pane over here, you can see all these little visuals, they have the little light bulbs by them, right? These are AI visuals, and we're gonna continue to invest in this. And so we have the new Q&A visual, and you can see right out the gate, it just suggests questions for you. You don't have to do anything. You can use these suggested questions, and it'll just start answering these questions automatically for you. And it's fully, tightly integrated with all of the other elements, just like I can do cross-filtering. So if I choose here, it cross-filters that element. So they're all just baked in, and they all work together. It's fully themable. So if I go to, I'm not familiar with this new ribbon that well, but if I go to View, right? So I can change the theme, right? It's fully themable, so if I change the theme, or I can control the background, the card background colors just by flipping. So let's get rid of the question itself. And so you can see how you can adjust the colors and change it, and it fits right into your product. It's phenomenal, it's great. Another great feature is, watch this, I want to show you guys this. So I'm gonna ask a question, Amir. Global sales by awesome publisher, right? And it gives you this red squiggly line, or purple, I don't know what color that is, squiggly line.
It's red, it's supposed to be red.
It's supposed to be red, okay? I don't know about that, Amir. But anyway, so it's telling me, it's giving the user an indication that something is not right here. Something is not right. And what I can do is I can click on this, and then I can say define what awesome means. So I'm gonna click here, it's gonna open the settings window up for Q&A, and it's gonna pre-populate that question for me. If I click submit, it's gonna say, hey, can you define awesome? And so I'm gonna show you a feature in a little bit where we baked in sentiment analysis directly into to Power BI desktop. So I don't need to go anywhere to do it, but I can go right here and say sentiment is greater than 0.5, and it'll render here. Sometimes the internet is slow. Then once I click save, you'll notice how the little red bar goes away, and now it's part of the language I just taught, Q&A, something I can just type, hey, show me all my awesome publishers, and it'll automatically filter it based on awesome now. So I just taught it. I didn't do any work. How much code did I write? No code, all right? So the last thing I want to show you about this Q&A visual is misunderstandings. And so a common thing that when the Q&A visual came out was like, what are the questions that are people asking, my model? How do I know? How do I know what are the misunderstood questions? Well, now, right, if I click on review questions and I type in, you can see in my model, what Power BI Desktop is doing is reaching back to the service. We've collected all the questions that everyone have asked, and now I can go in and say, well, what's a bad publisher? And I can go edit this, and then I can fix it, and I can't show you because of the internet, I'm so sorry. But once I fix it and publish it back, and I go refresh those questions, the red squiggly line will go away, and now Power BI understands all the questions, and I can continue to track this and make it give my end users a better experience when they're using this visual. What do you guys think? It's pretty cool, yeah. All right? But wait, there's more, all right? There's more. And so the decomp tree, so I'm gonna date myself here just a little bit. I'm gonna date myself just a little bit. Just a little bit. How many of you guys have used Performance Point in SharePoint?
Wow.
Right?
Clarity.
No. Performance Point. All right, yeah, for clarity. And we had this wonderful, wonderful decomp tree visual. And I remember when the desktop came out, I just really started hanging out with Will, and I was like, Will, where's the decomp tree? He's like, no, Patrick. I was like, so now, I guess the next release, the decomp tree
next week
will be available, and it's a fully fledged visual, just like the Q&A. Of course, it's not gonna work for me, but so I can just click, you build out. So once I choose it, I build out. It's a little different than what's in Performance Point. but I build out, the paths that I potentially want to take, so the dimension attributes. And then if I just click the plus sign, I can say platform, and I can continue to go and traverse down that path. And it's fully integrated, so all the cross-filtering and highlighting completely works with this element, just like any other element, but there's more. We've added a little sense of AI into the decomp tree. And so I'm going to go to this page, and I'll start and say, let me look at this by genre, right? So I'll look at this by genre. And we have a measure here. What this measure is telling me is that the closer the number is negative, the higher the negative number, the more the critics like the game. The more positive the number is, the larger the number is, the more users, game players like the game, right? And what I want to find out is, I want to find out which games do critics like the most, right?
And so users do not like.
Yes. That the users don't like, right?
Yeah. Critics like and users don't like.
Critics like it, and users don't like it. But I don't want to guess. I don't want to continue to traverse and traverse. And so if you click plus, what you'll see is this high and low value. So I want to go low value. So I'll go low value. And it'll automatically expand out the tree. And so PC games, critics really like PC games. I don't know why, I like Xbox, right? Click low, and critics really like EA games, but users don't like EA games. But which games, right? So if I click it, you can see that the critics really like.
Should he expand more? Maybe expand more.
Come on. There we go. So the critics really like soccer games, but users don't like soccer games. I don't know, right? It's the data. It's the data. It's the data. I don't make this up, all right? This is in the data. Okay, one more thing.
Sure.
One more thing.
Go for it.
But wait. There's more, right? And so the last really cool AI feature, and so last night while you guys were hanging out, going to karaoke parties and stuff like that, I went back to my hotel room and I created a flow because I wanted to detect the sentiment of the past summit to find out how people, everybody tweets. Everybody's tweeting, using the Twitterers to look at their, hey, I'm over here, I'm over there, and I was watching all the tweets come through, and I really wanted to go do some karaoke, but I didn't get an invite, so I just went back to my room. Yeah, I know. All right, so I created this flow, and I started capturing all these tweets, and I built out this little dashboard here. And so how did I detect the sentiment, and how did I do key phrase extraction? Well, we built that into the Power BI desktop. So if I go into the query editor, you'll see here there's a new section on the home ribbon for AI transformations. I can do text analytics, vision analytics. I can even bring in machine learning models that were pre-built for me. And so if I click on text analytics, it's going to open a dialog box. It's going to expose those cognitive services, if it does, if the internet agrees with me. That's why I did this before. If the internet agrees, it's going to expose, there we go, the different machine learning algorithms that's available. And then I can extract key phrases. I can score sentiment. And then I could build it all into my desktop. So if you go over here to the right, you'll see somewhere right there where it's extracted out the sentiment and the key phrases. And so over in the desktop, what I was able to do with help from Will, making my report nice, we can see that the sentiment is close to 100%. We have some people that's tweeting out there. We can see that oddly enough, that the biggest word is MS Ignite. I don't know, maybe because all the announcements, but it's pretty cool, and I can do all this built into the desktop.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you. Let's switch back to slides. Thank you, Patrick.
All right.
Yeah. So, it's something I've been working on for the last few years, and it's sometimes when you look at all the things we've been creating in the AI space, it's quite a collection. We've been creating capabilities for data scientists. If you want to go and have R or Python running inside your report, we have that capability. That's not for everybody, but you're data scientists, you really appreciate this kind of stuff. You can create your own visualization in Python and R. We have for analysts, we're going to see soon, you can create your own machine learning model directly inside the Power BI service when you use the AutoML capabilities. And then we created all these amazing experiences for end users, whether the AI visualization, natural language, and we will continue to build that. Today, I think, without doubt, from all the BI products in the market, I think we have the most impressive, most complete collection of AI capabilities, but there's so much more we can do. So there will be more coming. Okay, so we talk about those amazing experiences, and I think you kind of see where we are heading, kind of the main threads, great consumption experiences, be more like Office, add more AI infused visualizations. But let's, if we want to get all these experiences into the hands of many users, we really have to make sure that we create a system that is really designed for large-scale deployment. And this is really where the next circle comes in. And this is really about creating this modern enterprise BI system that really meets the needs of the largest organization. And we are talking about really the largest organizations. So what does it mean? It means that we have to wrap it here with a whole suite of capabilities. And it's kind of, we try to kind of capture them in eight buckets. So we're just going to give a bit of a glimpse into some of the work we're doing into each one. So the first one is about how we ingest data into Power BI. And one of the things that we have done, we're talking here about data flows, which is our large-scale ETL process to get data and to clean it up and to integrate in Power BI, and the machine learning work that we're doing into making sure that you can actually process the data and reach the data in a more sophisticated way than just simple transformations. And so here, and I think we are, no demo, right? Okay. So here we are. Here the data flows have been released less than a year ago. It's pretty amazing the adoption that we've been seeing there. Over 11,000 active customers are using data flows regularly. We are seeing 25% growth rate month over month. This is just insane. So this is just catching up like wildfire. One of the things that's really cool about it is that it's based on the Power Query user interface. How many of you use data flows? That's great. So it's based on the Power Query user interface. Power Query has been an unbelievable smashing success. We've been using it across multiple products at Microsoft. It's part of Excel. It's part of Power BI in the desktop. It's part of the data flows in Power BI. It's part of data flows in the rest of the Power Platform. It's going to be part of the Azure Data Factory. So it's everywhere. And we have tens of millions of users of Power Query. This is actually one of the most popular technologies we have right now at Microsoft. So it's very, very easy to go and create those transformations. We have, with data flows, you can create them into components, into flows, and those things are just connecting by themselves, know the relationship. We actually do static analysis, understand the relationship between the flow of the data, so you don't have to draw the lines. We know what the lines are by just parsing the expression that you have, just like in Excel, so we can do the calculation for you. Very successful, and all this data is being stored inside an Azure data lake. So it's stored in a format that you can all read. It's CSV files. And all the metadata associated with it is stored with it in a JSON file, highly readable. So you can take that data that we ingest in Power BI and process it in any Azure service that you want, or write your own application. But Azure Data Factory is supporting it, and Data Warehouse is going to support it. So we are all standardizing on the same format across the whole Azure suite. So it's incredibly powerful. And then on top of that, we take and edit this, we take the automated ML capabilities of Azure and package it in a way that every business analyst can go and use it. So wizard-driven approach to how you define the model. You don't have to know anything about algorithms. Just tell us what you want to score. We can help you with the feature selection, and then we run the algorithm, and we choose which one is the best one for you. And at the end, when we trained everything and we choose the best one, we verified it. We give you this amazing report that allows you to understand what the model did. So really trying to bring machine learning capability to people who are not data scientists. And I think it's beautiful. And I don't know how many of you used it. I think it's still a little bit underutilized. How many of you tried AutoML in Power BI? Yeah, that's not as many as the other features. Go give it a try. It's just amazing, okay? So this is around the how do you get data into Power BI, how to make it richer. And then we go to really the heart of enterprise BI. And this is the enterprise semantic models and the enterprise reporting capabilities, and also how you manage all this collection of capabilities together. And this is, of course, this is really where our legacy is. It's, we build enterprise semantic models are so important. If you are sitting in IT and you want to disseminate data to your users, you want to make sure it's high quality, it's well modeled, it has all the business logic embedded in it, it's the classic one version of the truth that everybody in IT wants to have. And this is where we come, and we have this amazing legacy of analysis services. I used to do it year after year in this conference, talk about the new features of analysis services. And there is no better engine when it comes to semantic modeling than analysis services. You have a question? I'm going to take the question. Are all these in the blue circle premium capacity? No, not all of them. Some of them, not all of them. I would say, though, we find that when it comes to almost every large deployment, I say virtually every large deployment is going to premium because actually it's very, very cost effective. But not all the features are premium. Okay? And so there is no better engine when it comes to semantic modeling than analysis services. And we are really bringing the full power of analysis services into Power BI. We are the team that still builds analysis services and releases it on a regular basis. We own Azure analysis services as well. So our job is, we try to balance in Power BI, bringing the full power, but not making it super hard to use because it's still, self-service is still very important for us. But I think even if you look at the last, some of the last announcements, you can see how the full power of analysis services is coming in. And similarly, the other big pillar of enterprise BI is this enterprise reporting. Pixel perfect reports in multiple formats, PDF and Word and Excel that you can send on a scheduled basis into mailboxes of people and personalize those. Big area of investment for us. We put in the first installment already in the product. We are really, really happy with the level of adoption. We know we have more work to do because taking that technology and packaging in a way that really fits really well into Power BI is not a trivial task. But you'll see every month we're just going to make it more and more of that SSRS technology showing in Power BI, make it completely compatible. So that's really where we're heading with this. So yes, we will have, people ask me about subscriptions. Yes, subscriptions are coming. Something will change. Something will say, it's not a standalone product anymore. It's a capability of the service. So we'll make some trade-offs. We will not have those shared data sets because we have Power BI data sets that are taking their place. It's more complete and better. But overall, you'll see the technologies of SSRS showing in their full glory inside Power BI and all the kind of workloads that it was taking before. Yes? That's actually a great question. So the question is, how would we socialize the semantic models, and how do we integrate with the data catalog? So I'll say, actually, the notion of the data, I'm going to start with the data catalog for a moment. The whole notion of the data catalog and the enterprise information management is top of mind for us. We've been investing quite a lot in making sure that we have, we're going to see lineage and impact analysis. We're doing the demo, right? So we're going to see it in a moment. But also we are working really hard on, as the new iteration of the data catalog is coming to life, you'll see Power BI integrated deeply into it. So, okay. So, but let's go and let's see some things in action. Oh, actually, Patrick, you showed some stuff.
Yeah. So how many people where's all the people that use SSRS, right? SSRS, look at that. Look at this, right? It's crazy because I remember when I first joined the team and Mark, my manager, was like, you're going to own SSRS and paginated reports. I was like, I like Power BI now. But it's okay. Then paginated reports came out, and I go to a conference and there's a line of people asking me about paginated reports. Power BI report server, SSRS. It's just lots of people, and you guys just answer the question. Everybody's using paginated reports because they truly have a purpose and a place that they sit in the organization. And if you look at the report I have on screen, right, it's a high-level report. Pretend I'm a sales manager. I have all these people, and I'm looking at a high-level aggregate of all the information that I have for all the invoices. But what I'd like to do is, print out these invoices or send these invoices out to all my customers. And if you look at this from a Power BI perspective, and I've seen people try this, they'll choose one filter, then print the page, choose one filter, then print the page. Not very efficient. I gotta tell my wife, I'm not lazy, I'm just really efficient. She doesn't believe me all the time, right? She doesn't believe me all the time, but it's okay. And so what we did was we added this capability for URL filters or URL parameters like you can do on premises, so I can take the context of my paginated report, my Power BI report, And with the click of a button, using a button or something like that in Power BI, I can pass all of those filters to my paginated report, and it'll automatically run that report in nice pixel-perfect pages that I can print out and share with people inside my organization or outside my organization. And so you can see this is just a button. If I click this button, and if the internet agrees with me, it's going to open up the paginated report and automatically begin to render it as a PDF, and so we're not going to wait for it. And this is what it would look like, and each page is dedicated to a particular invoice. Now I can print this out. I don't know why anybody would print anything out anymore, but people do. They want to print stuff out. I can print this out and share this with people.
But you know, people, it's not just invoices. It could be your financial reports.
Yep.
It could be your product catalog. There are many reasons why you want paginated, pixel-perfect reports that are, multiple pages and so forth. So it's,
Yeah,
we are seeing the demand is there.
A common thing that I see in the room is people, Amir, people are using it for report cards at schools, in school districts, and transcripts and things like that. Yeah.
This requires premium.
This requires premium. Yeah.
So this is more a comment than a question, but this is really, I think, a big unlock. So we had the struggle when we first put out Power BI. And I think it's a big win for people who are coming from only having a paginated report environment, SSRS. Going from that to only Power BI without the paginated report was a huge, culture change.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And we were trying to convert into Power BI only, and it was a really big pushback. We could not get him out. The moment this came available,
Yeah.
everybody was happy.
Yeah.
So it was like the one thing. No matter how much Power BI did right, it was the one thing that drove user adoption.
Yeah.
So just as a story on that was a big deal.
Thank you very much. And there's a paycheck for you outside. Thank you so much.
We should keep going. We should keep going. So we'll answer questions at the end. I promise we'll answer questions at the end. All right? And so Amir talked about this centralized repository, right? This data model. And on the team that I work on the customer advisory team, and we work with some of the largest customers. And the challenge that before this feature came out, they had these silos. I hate data silos. It was the exact same model across multiple workspaces because I couldn't use a data set. I couldn't create a report based on a data set that was in a separate workspace. And so I would have to replicate that data model across or use analysis services, something like that. But now with Power BI Desktop, not only do we have the concept of shared data sets, but now we have somewhat of a governance process where I can certify or promote my data sets so my end users, when they consume these data sets, they trust me, right? It's going through this process where I've kind of blessed that data set. And so if I go to data sets here, it's really easy to set this up. You go to settings in the portal, and then if you scroll all the way down to the bottom.
Come on, Internet.
Come on, Internet. There's a drop down that you click, and you can promote the data set. You can promote it, or then you can certify it. Of course, the Internet's not going to play well. But anyway, you guys get what I'm trying to say. And then once that's done, you can actually go out to Power BI, and right in the ribbon, there's an option for Power BI data sets, okay? So I can click the Power BI data sets. It's going to open up a dialog. It's going to show all of the data sets that I have access to. Those that are promoted or certified will actually rise to the top of the list, so I can quickly choose those and start building my reports out. And I can base my report on a data set that's in one workspace, and then I can publish it to another workspace, and now they're completely separate, and now I have one central repository for this data, instead of having multiple data models created everywhere. But one more thing. I'm going to talk about one more thing. Is that okay? All right. And so how many of you guys just enjoy that 10 gig limit? You pay for premium, and you can only do a 10 gig model. Come on, Microsoft, you can do better than that, right? And so what we recently announced was the ability to have just massive models to the size of the maximum size of that your capacity can hold. And if you go into Management Studio, first, if I go to Power BI, I can get the workspace, right? So if I just go to my workspace and click Settings and go to Premium, everybody knows about the Xmla Endpoint. So we have that Xmla Endpoint. This is synonymous with the server name for your AS machine. So if I open up Management Studio, if I go to Management Studio, that hyperlink that I showed there, it's the exact same hyperlink. And so all I would do is say connect to analysis services, put the XML endpoint in, authenticate, and now all those data sets that are included in that workspace, they're just analysis services databases. And so you can see I have 4 databases in my workspace. And now look at the size of this particular one. So before we had a 10 gig limit, I'm hosting a 70 gig model inside of my Power BI workspace, all right?
Yeah.
All right.
That's a lot because this is compressed data. You know Power BI likes to compress a lot. So this is, you can actually fit quite a lot. And we're not done by that. I can switch to slides. Thank you, Patrick. We're not going to, and hopefully the next demos the internet will recover for us. But it's kind of let's talk a little bit about those data sizes. So we released Power BI. If you're using Power BI Pro, then you are still limited to 1 gigabyte size models. When you move to Premium, you used to be able to have 10 gigabytes. And now we're introducing that you can go all the way to the size of the capacity. And if you go all the way, we're talking about 400 gigabytes that you can go. And I can tell you, in the works, where people working, I don't know what it's going to release, but we're going to work on another order of magnitude increase, and we're going to get to 4 terabyte of models inside Power BI compress. We're talking about here about trillions of rows, talking about here tens of terabytes of source data. That's kind of what's in the works. So yeah, we are making Power BI the most scalable BI engine in the solar system. So
what capacity level is required for 400?
400 is P5. Yes, P5. Yeah, I know. But P5. The last one I want to talk about, the last piece in the puzzle that I want to talk about is that one in the bottom there. And actually, people you ask me about about what do we do about source control and version control and application lifecycle management. And this is something we're actively working on. This week was the first time we've shown a sneak peek into what is application lifecycle management in Power BI. We introduced the concept of pipelines. So if you know lifecycle management, pipelines are really allow you to define environments for development, for tests, for production, and you can control the configuration of each one, and you can transition one from the other. You get full isolation, and that's something that we are building into Power BI. Went this week into private preview. Early next year is going to go to public preview, and I have. Who's showing?
No, you got
me. I'm showing. Okay. Yeah. So how does it look like? It looks like this. So basically, what you see here are the 3 environments. The green is development. The orange is the test. You can actually do a diff, and you can see which artifacts were added, removed, changed between the environments. You can sync between them. You can configure the environments between them. You can see now you just did another config, and now it transitioned to the other one. So you can configure each environment to have its own connection strings or its own filters. So you can do development on a small subset, maybe on a sample data, because maybe your developers are not allowed to see the production data. So all of that is built in. In addition, we are going to integrate also with the source control tools. And yes, we do have to finalize some of the formatting of the formats of the report, and this will be done. But source controls and CI/CD and so forth, but easy to use, built into the product. Pipelines are coming to Power BI, next half of next year. Okay. So altogether, we went through a journey of 2 years when we say we're going to take a self-service tool, which was Power BI was born as a self-service tool. We're going to make it into an enterprise BI tool. We build all these capabilities, and today, by far, I think Power BI is the most complete enterprise BI platform available anywhere. And that's, and in fact, one thing that we kind of measure ourselves to see, we're saying it, are you buying it? Yes, you are. Yeah, so we actually, over the last 12 months, we've had 600% growth in large deployments of Power BI. So that's kind of just really gratifying to see that the enterprises are really finding it successful, trying it out, adopting, and just, it's a snowballing effect. It's great. So that's a little bit about that. So let's move to the last circle here, which I think is...
We had one more demo on data lineage that we kind of skipped over.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah.
We got
I don't
mixed
know
up
how
on
it
the order
happened,
a little bit.
Because you're supposed to take over.
Yeah, because I was going to take over.
Yeah, okay.
In the last minute. Okay,
that's the data lineage, okay.
There's one more element that I wanted to show that Patrick alluded to a little bit, and Amir kind of showed right at the start a little GIF around this. But I wanted to just drill into a little bit more, and that's around data lineage. So one of the bits of feedback we've heard is that when I'm viewing some artifacts in a workspace, it's hard to know exactly how all these things are connected up. But we've added this new Lineage View that released about a month ago that makes it really simple to see all of the different pieces that you're managing within this workspace. So I can see here from the left-hand side my data sources, the different places that I'm getting data from, the data sets that I'm using, that I'm building off those, the reports, and even up to the dashboards that I'm viewing these in. And conversely, if I was looking at a dashboard and I see a tile maybe that it looks out of date, I can find out, okay, well, where might that data have come from? So I can highlight the chain of dependencies of where the data flowed through to this dashboard from. So I can see there are these 2 reports that are shown on the dashboard. I can see that there are a number of data sets, 2 data sets here. I can see the gateway that we were using to pull some of the data from an on-prem system. So if I saw there's a problem in the gateway, I could go and do some root cause analysis there. And I can see this data set here, this Customer 360 data set. This is a really interesting one. It has this little green icon, which is the certified data set. So this was one that was published as a certified data set by somebody else. And I can see that it's in a different workspace. So something that potentially somebody else owns. And I can also click through to that workspace. I've already loaded it over here. And I can see the details here. So there's my Customer 360 data set that I was using in the other workspace. And I can see all of the different, I can see the data flows that were feeding this data set. And I can see there's a data flow here at the top with a little refresh warning next to it. I can get right down into the details of what was that refresh issue. Close that one. What was the issue in this refresh? So I can see all the different history of when these refresh happens and the failures, and I can go and get all that details. So it's really simple now to start from a dashboard and drill right back to exactly where that data came from and any problems that might have occurred with it.
Great. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. OK. Cool, right? I like it. All right.
Of course.
OK. So let's talk about the outer circle. So if you think about these 2 circles, this is what makes a BI product a BI product. The outer circle is not just about the BI product. It's really about the relationship between BI and the rest of the organization. And so the rest of the organization is talking about technology, talking about experiences, talking about culture. So we cannot just treat BI. If we want to really drive into a data culture, we're really changing the whole organization fabric. We really have to make sure that BI is not sitting on its own. We don't just say, you have to go to the BI system. The BI system has to be everywhere. It has to affect, we have to think about what is the relationship between BI and the data stack. What is the relationship between BI and the experiences people are getting throughout their day, not if they only go to www.powerbi.com. Or how does BI interface with the operational systems and the experiences for the line workers? And how do we really make sure that people can trust the BI system? So this is what this outer circle is about. It's a major effort for us. Just like we went through a 2 years effort around building the modern enterprise BI platform, this is another kind of 2 years effort. So we're going to talk about some of the first early deliverables, but you'll see those deliverables coming more and more as time passes. And we'll start with the data stack. And this is where, if you think about, as we expect customers and organizations to go and make big bets on analytical applications, with those big analytical applications, you don't think just about BI. You think about a whole stack. You think about the data lake and the ETL system and the data warehouse and the data catalog and the machine learning, all of that. You think about all of that, and people don't like it. You should not be needing to go and take these technologies and stitch them by hand. We need to give you a holistic experience for authoring, for monitoring, for management, for security, that cover all these technologies together. And this is exactly what Azure Synapse Analytics was all about. So we really it was all about creating this unified experience. You've seen it in the keynote, I believe, right? And it's all about taking all these technologies, creating a single framework around them, and we have made sure that Power BI is an integral part of that story, that you can have one place. If you're a data engineer, and you're sitting in Azure, and you build that big enterprise analytical application, you don't have to go switch places. You don't have to have different technology that you have to learn. It's all in one place, all in one experience. And Will is going to show us how it looks like.
Show you a little bit. Okay. So you were all in the keynote this morning, I hope. Did everybody see the Synapse demo this morning? Okay, hands good. Most people should.
You're British is Synapse, right?
Synapse. If you, who else has Synapse? Just Chris. Me, Chris. Okay, a couple other Brits. Great. Okay. So the Synapse Workspace, I'm going to train myself to say it. The Synapse Workspace allows people to bring all of those different things that they're working on when they're building these analytic applications into one place. And Power BI is no different, right? The way that you do that through Synapse is over on this management page, they have the concept of linked services. And you'll see one of them is a Power BI workspace. So when I configure this, you'll see it will give me the choice of all the different workspaces that I've got access to. And I can say, OK, go link that Power BI workspace into my Synapse workspace so I can see the content together. So over in the, I've got this Synapse demo workspace. And if I go and have a look at that, I can see I've got a set of reports and a set of data sets here in the Power BI workspace that I want to link in. So when I go back to my Synapse workspace, I can see here in the Power BI section, I've got all of those same data sets and reports linked in here. And this isn't just like a copy of it. This is reaching into the Power BI workspace and showing exactly the same artifacts. So if I make changes in one place, it will show up in the other. And that means that I can do things like creating new Power BI data sets right here within Synapse. So if I've created that link, and then I go and do some of my analytic, write some scripts and load some stuff into a DW table or whatever it is, and then I want to go and analyze it and report on it in Power BI, I can create that new data set from here. So I just choose the SQL pools that I want to connect to. So I've got my Arcadia demo or my trials or whatever. And when I choose these, what it's going to generate is something called a PBIDS file. Oops. Well, zoom it's kind of a bit crazy. It's called a PBIDS file. And these PBIDS files, they're a little bit similar to ODC files, the Office data connection files. You may be familiar with those. All they really are is a definition of the server name and, see if I can again, the server name that I need to connect to and the database that I'm going to connect to. So I go ahead and download those, load it up in Power BI Desktop, and it's pre-connected for me. I don't have to go and figure out what those server names are. And I can go and build those models and do my thing. And when I publish those back up to Power BI, they're going to appear back here in my Synapse workspace. So I'm going to see those data sets, and I can start building reports on top of them. So I can create brand new reports, and I can go and start to do my drag and drop, what does Christian call it? Clicky, clicky, draggy, droppy analytics on top of this. So I'll see the fields that are coming direct out of those data warehouses in Synapse. And we run in direct query mode, so you're not having to load that data into Power BI all the time. I can just start analyzing it straight away, building my charts. So, a few more clicks, a few more drags, a bit more clicky, I can get to a really nicely formatted, beautiful-looking Power BI report. And I'm working in edit mode here, so I've got all of the filtering capabilities. I can interact and analyze with this. And of course, I can add and remove charts and do whatever I want with this. And when I save these reports, they're automatically synced, but well, they're not synced. They are working in the Power BI workspace. So if I want to share this with somebody else in my organization, I just do it straight from that workspace. We're bringing the Power BI analytic and reporting capabilities together with the data manipulation and data transformation pieces that you might be doing in Synapse.
It's pretty cool. Yeah. The other thing I would say is you've seen the whole data set creation is right now you are doing it in the desktop, and then you're uploading the data set definition back to the service. We are working, it's going to take us a while, but we are working on a complete web experience for modeling. So you don't even have to do the modeling in the desktop, but everything, all the Power BI modeling will be done here in Synapse.
I will do a quick plug. If you think you have opinions about modeling in the web, come to one of the focus groups tomorrow. There's one at 10 a.m. and there's one at maybe 4 p.m. I think tomorrow. Look it up on your schedules and come tell us what you think about that integration.
Yeah. But overall, I think that when you think about it, we have now a complete holistic platform that covers all the technology in a single framework for authoring, for development, for monitoring, for management, for performance optimization. And we're actually integrating the analysis services engine that it actually works very tightly with the Azure data warehouse that is in Synapse. All of that is one complete package. I think it's going to be an unbeatable combination for any enterprise that wants to choose their strategic analytical platform. Okay. That's on that. Now, the other part is not looking down, but looking up, not looking at the infrastructure, but looking at the user experiences. And right now, we kind of tell users, if you want to get insights, go to Power BI. That is the place for you to go. And some of them do that, and we are very grateful that they do that, but we think that we can do much better. We would like to get to where the users are spending their time anyway and make their life more insightful, more richer, just richer, not more richer, right? For this, we are working very heavily with the Office team on integrating Power BI experiences directly into the Office applications. And you'll see those experiences starting to light up in the coming months in different applications. I'm not going to steal the thunder of the announcement we'll have in the future, but it will be in the application that you're very familiar with. But the first deliverable that we're going to have is actually here, and this is the integration we're doing with Teams. So let's take a look at how we are integrating with Teams. How many of you are using Teams? Wow, that's incredible. It's just unbelievable how fast this thing caught up. So
Teams
go for
amazing.
it.
All right, OK. So just to show you some of the improvements we're making around Teams, I'm going to take something that Patrick created, this tweets report, which was a fantastic report, and I love it. I took it, I published it to Power BI, I created an app, but I want to tell everybody about it. I want to tell all the people I work with that this is a great thing for us to demo. So how do I go and share that? Well, obviously I can go through Power BI and hit the share button, but if I want to start talking to people about that and collaborating on that, I can do that through Teams. And what I can now do is take the URL of the report that I want to share, come over to Teams, find a Teams channel that I'm interested in, and if I paste the URL in here, I'm praying to my demigods because yes, good, it worked. It didn't work a minute ago. I get a little preview now of that report. We're actually going to start building live previews so you can see a little representation of the report right in here. At the moment, it's just telling me description and where the app came from. But I can go and send that to everybody and tell people how great it was. And they've got links here to go and open it back up in Power BI or even subscribe to that report immediately. So if they think it's something really interesting, it's going to take me here, open, ready, so I can start subscribing and saying, hey, I want to know about that report on a more regular basis. Go and email it to me or whatever. But I can do more than that. We always like taking things to the next level, right? That's one of Patrick's things. So let's take this report and actually, rather than sending people from the message out to Power BI every time, I want to bring that into Teams and add it into this Teams channel. So I can add a new tab within my Teams channel, and our new Power BI integration lets me browse through all the reports that I've got access to. So I can see the workspaces, the apps, and all the different reports. It might take a second to search for it. And when it comes back, here we go. Here's my sentiment report. I'm going to save this back as a new tab. And it'll actually embed that report here right inside Teams. So I don't need to go to that browser anymore. I can just see it every day, and this is going to keep getting updated as the Power BI report gets refreshed in the service. It's going to update here as well. And I can do things like starting chat against this so that I can have it kind of annotated along with it if I've got any conversations about the particular report right here inside Teams. Really nice integration kind of in both directions. We've got a few questions about this one. Yeah. In the interest of time, we're going to hold those to the end. Come find us afterwards. I'll be on the booth the rest of the afternoon as well.
Yeah. Okay. We'll be disciplined about the time. The other area where we are heavily investing is around first of all, before I do that, actually one thing, it's just incredible. Working with Microsoft, an ability to go and work with the Office product groups and really we know that if we can do that, we can change people's lives, change the basic experiences that they're spending sometimes 8 and 10 hours in front of the computers using those Office applications, just change how they view mail, change how they do presentation, change how they're doing spreadsheeting, and just do that. It's such a privilege to be able to make such an impact. It's so super, super exciting stuff that we're doing. The other area I want to talk about is where it comes to action. And this is where there's something that is emerging, and I think that I hope you guys are starting to pay attention. There's something called the Power Platform. And this is really the work that we're doing with Power Apps, and something that we renamed just this week. Now we call Power Automate. It used to be called Microsoft Flow, but now it's Power Automate. And this suite of products is really about empowering citizen developers and people who are not sitting in Azure, people who are not IT, and allowing them to create, sitting in the business side, allowing them to create applications, derive insight, automate business processes, and create a close loop circle around those. And this is the momentum behind the Power Platform right now is pretty fantastic. It's virtually a new category of a product. A little bit to think about when Office showed up 30 years ago as a suite. Before that, there were just a word processor and a spreadsheet, and suddenly there's a suite called Office, that was quite transformational. I think we are witnessing the emergence of something very similar, that Power Platform. And I think it's going to be incredible transformation in coming years, but already we're seeing unbelievable momentum. So to kind of take us through what we can do together with Power BI and Power Apps, Will is going to show us.
Okay, so Patrick already mentioned a little bit about how we can use Power Automate, formerly known as Flow, as a way of harvesting tweets and doing that sentiment analysis to pull that in. I wanted to show integration between Power BI and Power Apps. And what I've built here, what Patrick built here, what we worked on together was this report where I've got this scenario where, say I run a chain of coffee shops, Starbucks or something similar like that. And I'm working with the store managers to look at their quota and how well they're doing. I come along and sit down with Patrick and say, hey, we need to have a look at your quota, not performing well. Maybe there's something we can do about it. But I've built this Power BI report and embedded down on the right-hand side a Power App. So it's all coming from the same data source, but the Power App lets me take action on the insights that I find. So firstly, when I'm working in the report, if I'm just clicking around changing filters, you'll see that the data that I select in the Power App is automatically updated. So we're passing the context from the report into the Power App to view the relevant bit of data. And then, I'm going to go make some changes to Patrick's quota here. I can see that he's not performing too well against his quota. I'm not sure he's going to make this by the end of the year. So let's try and make a little change, So maybe we'll just reduce his quota. I know him. He's a good guy. He's going to do his hardest. We'll see. But, I'm going to reduce his quota. And hopefully this means that now what I'm going to do now is by making that change in Power Apps, I'm writing that data back into the store that the report is working off. And the integration we have means that Power Apps can automatically go and tell the Power BI report that it's inside, hey, go and refresh. You need to go and get new data. And so it automatically updates it, and I can see, hey, Patrick's looking good, he's all green, he's going to be okay by the end of the year. Really neat way of getting data both into the Power App and then back out into your Power BI report. Really closing that loop from insights to action and back again.
And this is just an amazing pattern that we're seeing that those reports that typically are read-only start becoming read-write, start becoming a place we can take action in place, in situ, and it really is passing the context between the report to the application. The application refreshes the data, the report sees that. It's just beautiful, beautiful pattern. You see more and more of those integration points. You'll see us integrating flow automation, the flow of Power Automate is into Power BI. You'll see Power BI reports becoming very easy to embed into Power Applications. So the reverse integration, it's a little bit like, putting Excel inside PowerPoint. All these kind of integrations that you see in Office, you start seeing them happening in the Power Platform. It's already happening, but more and more will come. It's a super, super exciting area.
So one more plug. If you want to find out how this report got built, go to Patrick's session tomorrow. He'll walk you all through it.
Yes.
The last area we are going to talk about is trust. And trust here is a multi-dimensional. The whole idea is, people need, today people, when they hear data, they hear AI, it's typically in the context of a data breach, or in the context of, I'm talking about the general public, some data breach, some surveillance technology, typically not a very good context, drones, typically not a very good context. We have a lot of work to really build trust that people, if we want to make that culture change, we have to make sure that everybody in the organization can really talk about data in a positive way, have positive sentiment. We're doing a lot of things around trust. It's a multi-dimensional problem. We're actually having a lot of effort around even education at early age. We're not going to cover this here, but our work with schools, and talking about middle schools and high schools, just making sure that people grow up, just like they grow up today with PowerPoint and Word. They should grow up with data. But I want to talk about that. I want to talk a little bit about different components, other components of trust. First of all is openness. We want to make sure that when you pick our Power BI, you know that you're not locked into anything, that the data is yours, you have full access to it, you are not limited by what you can do with the product, and we'll talk more about that. It needs to be secure. That's the number one objection we got at the very beginning for Power BI is, yeah, you want to take my most sensitive pieces of information and put them in the cloud, and what will happen? People will breach into your data center and so forth. Massive doubts. Now, I would say a lot of it is subsiding. There was the early years. Today, people are kind of Cloud is inevitable. We just have to go. But still, it's a big responsibility. So we have to make sure that you can trust that your data is protected. And compliance. I'll talk more about that in a moment. So let's start with openness. From the very beginning of Power BI, we started with opening our data stack, our visualization stack. We created the ability for you to go and create your own visualizations in Power BI. We have 250 visualizations created by the community. You can all use directly from the product, embed them in the product. It's pretty incredible what is the richness that we have just by opening that data stack. I'll tell you one more thing that we are doing right now. It's still on a trial basis, experimental basis. If you want more than just build your own custom visual, if you want to have your own feature in Power BI, we have a program that, if your customer wants, not you, but you have a program where you can join the Power BI team and build the feature into Power BI, and it will become a regular feature of Power BI. So if you're interested in that, send me a mail. Okay, because that's something. So basically, customers who said, I just need to have that feature, and those goddamn Power BI guys that don't do that feature yet, you have a way to get that feature into the product without having to wait forever. So talk to us about it. We are actually creating a shared source program where you can go and that feature become a regular feature of Power BI. Your customer will pay for it, but not to us. It'll pay you. Okay, we don't take money for that. Okay, so that's one thing. The other area of openness is in the APIs. Our semantic models in Power BI are all Xmla endpoints. You can connect to them from anywhere, from our management tool, from our competitor tools, from your own custom applications. This is yours. Use them as much as you want. If you want to create a heterogeneous environment with multiple different experiences, your user insists on using this other tool, you can do that, still maintain the compliance, still maintain the single version of the truth. You don't have to fragment your data. All this stuff is still available, complete openness on the API level of the semantic models. And we talked about the data flows that actually keep the data in the data lake in CSV file, JSON file, completely open. It's your data. Use it anywhere you want. We're not going to charge you anything to take your own data and apply it. Very, very open. The other area is security. And this is where it's super sensitive, super sensitive. And it's always been kind of the trade-off. If I'm going to the cloud, I'm going to be less secure. Not anymore. We are working in Microsoft where we have 3,500 professionals, developers, engineers, researchers, architects that have made a massive, Microsoft today is a leading force in the world when it comes to security. It's often taking the roles of government when it comes to cracking into hacker networks, taking off on child pornographers and other bad players. Our security center is the best of the best, and we have built amazing amount of IP. Every month, we are handling more than about 500 million email we analyze for malware, talking more than half a trillion logins every month. We are blocking 5 billion threats at Microsoft every month. Imagine how much damage would have been if we haven't done that. And we are in the position where we can take all this amazing IP that was created in Microsoft and just integrate it into Power BI. So what we have announced this week, just early this week, is the ability to create the data sensitivity labeling or Microsoft Information Protection labeling in Power BI, which means now Power BI behaves the same way as the other digital rights management applications in Office. Like if you want to protect an Excel file, a Word file, Power BI is the same way. You just mark it, and that protection it remains even if you take the data out of Power BI. So if you go in here, you see that in this one, it's a highly confidential document. If you go in here and you say, I would like to take that document and export it into Excel, that data set, so you can do the export. But when you do that, and then you go and open that Excel file is still protected, still highly confidential. You just cannot get rid of that label. That label sticks to the data wherever it goes. It's now fully protected. We are the only BI product that data stays protected even after it leaves our system. It's more than that. It's not just the sensitivity layer. It's also where you are, what machines you're working on. So, for example, we can have policies. All of this is not it's all policies that are governed in the Microsoft Information Security portal, not Power BI portal. So these are corporate-wide policies. So if you have, for example, you're trying to could download the data from a home machine, of a machine that is in a geography that feels suspicious, or if it's coming from an account that feels like there is impossible travel because you logged in an hour before from one location, and an hour later it's coming from a very far location, it doesn't seem like it's the same account, we will immediately block that download altogether. So all these policies are now available inside Power BI, and we will provide this amazing portal that allows you to understand the distribution of data sensitivity, and you can log even into the main Microsoft Cloud application security and get the full threat modeling and advanced threat protection of it. So pretty incredible, and marked on time. So the last thing I want to talk about is compliance. It's typically not the topic I will ever close a presentation with. You know, we are. But I'm going to, because it's something very special here that is going to go. We are at 40 data centers around the world, 43 languages. We have to be compliant with so many laws of land. So we have accumulated the most complete set of certificates that you can be assured wherever you are it's going to work. But I want to talk about 3 certificates specifically. I'm going to talk about W3C, GSA, and EN 301-549, and nobody has any idea what I'm talking about. These are the accessibility certificate, and they make a difference. So stay with this video. I think you'll make your day. Sound? Sound? Okay.
Taco Bell in Guatemala currently has 54 stores. We've been growing exponentially. We have millions of transactions in our servers in the cloud. Otto was the one that showed us this perfect tool for us to manage all this information.
Guatemala is very competitive in the hotel business, and Otto developed a dashboard in Power BI where we could see all the rates that we were publishing and compare them with our competition.
The telecommunications business is always changing, so you need to be able to analyze a lot of information in a small amount of time. Working with Otto has been an amazing experience. He has no limitations, and he has been helping us quite a lot.
Otto was very important in Guatemala because he managed all the implementation of the system, of the ATMs, and he introduced business intelligence for the industry in the banking. 20 years ago, he was diagnosed with ALS, that was Lou Gehrig disease.
I could not imagine doing nothing, so I became a data analyst, helping local businesses put in place strategies around data. I had learned to use my feet to operate a foot mouse so I could type with the on-screen keyboard.
I'm a Windows insider, and Windows 10 came with an eye tracking feature, and I think it was amazing. This is a very good feature for people that had challenge with mouse or keyboards. After that, I made some posts in my blog and auto-read. This is the moment that starts all the history.
It would not be polite to tell you what I yelled when I read Juan Manuel's blog post. I immediately contacted him and said that I wanted to try it.
It's very easy to implement because it's immersed in Windows. You can work with all the applications that you run in Windows. Office, Notepad, Power BI, even WhatsApp web, only with eye tracking. The productivity of Otto rise with eye tracking, and the interaction was very fluid and very easy.
I can type faster now, as if I had my own hands back, after many years of not having the mobility to type on a regular keyboard. I became independent and can interact directly with clients when I have questions or need to explain something. I can also communicate with my loved ones much better.
This feature of eye tracking is a very good example for the mission of Microsoft, that is build software for better life in the persons.
I was given 2 to 5 years to live, and 20 years have gone by. If life gives you lemons, make lemonade. Even with a terminal disease, you can still do things with a positive attitude. My top goal is to become the oldest MVP for Microsoft.
So that's our story. I want to really thank you so much, Will, Patrick, myself, and the rest of the BI team for joining us on this amazing journey with Power BI. And I know we'll see you in the coming years. And we'll stay here for questions. Thank you so much.